Good morning, everyone. So today we're going to talk about the hero's journey, which is a 12-step process in literature, movies, any sort of multimedia where we see a person, a figure, follow this phase, these 12 steps to where we can officially deem them a hero. And we're going to talk about this today because we're going to begin our new novel next week, The Odyssey, which has one of the most notorious heroes of all types of literature, Odysseus. So before we get there, I want to talk a little bit with you guys about what you think it means to be a hero, how we deem a person, a character, a being to be heroic, and why that's important across time and culture as long as we've known. So what we're going to do first, I always like to start nice and easy with this. I want you to tell me a couple things. So in your notebooks, go ahead and jot down the answers to these couple questions. Who do you think is a hero? What lessons do heroes generally teach us? How do heroes change across cultures and how do they stay the same? So think back to the varying countries and units we've covered this year. Think about all parts of the world, the Middle East, South America, North America, Europe. How are those ideas the same? How are they different? And think about the time periods as well. We've read some modern literature and we've read some literature from way back to the Bible times. So think of those things as well when you're composing those answers. And then lastly, create a list of 10 fictional heroes in your opinion and 10 non-fictional heroes in your opinion. So those non-fictional, real people can be related to you, they can be personal to you, or they can be known figures, whatever you think you deem as a hero. Once you've composed all of these items here, you can just jot these on a notebook, a list, nothing too serious. I want you to turn to the partner next to you and compare your answers. With the first three, see if your answers were similar, if you had similar ideas as to what a hero is, what their responsibility is, what their role is in society. And then the main thing I want you to focus on is those lists at the end. See if you had names in common. For the non-fictional, maybe you didn't have the exact same people in common, but did they fill the same role in your life? So did you both list a family member, a sibling, a mentor, a coach? And talk about why. What have those people done? What have those figures in movies or in literature done that makes you think they are heroic? They are above other humans. They are the top of the top. Have that conversation with your partner, and then we'll come back as a class and see what we had similar and what we had different. Okay, now that we've reviewed that, we're going to take some time to review Matt Winkler's 12 steps of what it means to be a hero. So we're going to watch our video. It's going to walk us through the cycle. Like I said, this is a cycle, so it's important to know that heroes don't just do good things one time. We know, I think we can all think of people or characters or actors, things like that, who do one good thing. But that doesn't mean that you say they're a hero. So the big thing I want you to remember before we start this video is it's a cycle. It's in a circle like a clock on purpose because you're supposed to repeat that time and time again throughout your lifetime if you really are heroic. So we went through the 12 steps. We've talked about what you have to do in terms to be a hero, and like I said, the big focus should be on why they have to keep repeating that process. Why is it so important that our heroes don't just do one good or one noble act? They don't just save the princess once. What did they do before that to put themselves in that position, and what did they do after? So one good example who I like to discuss when I'm thinking of a hero from a personal standpoint, and one that I often find we can relate to, is my dad. So think of someone who has raised you, whether that's a biological family member, a parent, or just someone who was there to support you. I would say that my dad is a hero because for me, he has completed that cycle more than once. He has risked his life. He has gone out of his comfort zone. He has protected me. He has provided for me. He has supported me, and not just once. I've made it pretty far in life because he's continued to do that. However, other people might look at my dad and not think that because for them, he hasn't completed that cycle, maybe even once, much less multiple times. So let's use an example that we're all comfortable with. Let's talk about a superhero because that's always one that I have students list. Usually when I do fictional lists, it's all superheroes. It's all these, big bad figures that you've grown up with your whole life. So I have a 9-year-old brother and his favorite superhero is Batman. So one of the biggest things and the most important things, especially if you grew up watching Batman on TV like my little brother, is, you know, Batman's always helping people. He doesn't just fight one crime. He's not just saving Gotham City for one day. It's forever. Someone is trapped in a tree. Here comes Batman. The next night, somebody's stuck in a tunnel, and here's Batman again. Corruption's happening in the city, and it needs to be stopped. Whoop, here's the Batmobile, and he's gonna come in. He's going to leave his comfort zone. He's going to help others. He's going to risk himself in that process, and at the end, he's going to become a better being, and his society, the biggest part, is also going to improve because of his actions. Like I said, the biggest things we have to remember about becoming a hero is that it takes risk. It takes a community usually either to help you or that's going to get that support in the end, and it's not a one-time gig. So think back to Batman, think to Superman, any of those superheroes. We deem them super because they do it all the time. If they just did it once, we would not think of them as heroes. So let's connect this to our novel now. At this point, we're halfway through the Odyssey. So we've seen Odysseus do a couple things. He sacrificed his comfort zone. He left home to go fight the Trojan War, and then to attempt to get back home, he's left his comfort zone many times. He's had assistance, another big part of being heroic. We see Batman has Robin. He's got the support of the Gotham cops here and there. Odysseus has the Greek gods on his side, with the exception of Poseidon, and he has his citizens, his men, who are fighting with him on his side. We've seen obstacles, right? We know anyone who's heroic, real or not real, they have to go through obstacles. We've seen Odysseus lose his own crew members. We know that's very hard. He lost them in war. He lost them coming back home. We see him missing things personally. He's missing his son grow up while he's at home, and he's missing that. And then we've seen him become a new version of himself. He has chosen to change his feelings and his behavior to better others. So what I want you to do now is copy down the 12 steps of being a hero and see how far we are with Odysseus. Like I said, we're about halfway through this book, so hopefully you have at least half the steps. But remember, he's supposed to do this more than once. So in our book, maybe he's only gotten halfway there, but think back to his past, think back to the Iliad, what happened before, and think of other things he did to make him the character and the man that he is, and why he is a hero. So I'm going to go ahead and end my lesson there. As I said in the lesson in the video, generally I do show my kids a YouTube video by Matt Winkler. It's about 5-6 minutes long that walks them through the hero's journey. It shows them the cycle. Obviously I would normally have that cycle on the board. I have a handout I give them with the 12 steps for them to copy, where in this video I was saying, you know, write it down or you know it. So those are additional materials I would be using. I really like the video that I show by Matt Winkler because it uses the Hunger Games as an example, which at my old school students read freshman year, and I taught the Odyssey to seniors, so it was really nice that they actually had that background knowledge to build off of. And then the last thing I usually have them do, like I said, I usually introduce this lesson about halfway through the Odyssey so they can start to track that progress. And then from then until the end of the novel, which is usually about 2 weeks at this point in my curriculum, I give them a huge comic strip. It's about this big, with all 12 steps, and they have to follow along for the rest of the book, draw the picture of Odysseus at that stage, make me a caption, and color it to look like a comic book to kind of reference us back to the superhero idea, since that's generally what students think of with being a hero. Obviously my goal here is to get them to understand what it means to be heroic or a tragic hero in literature, but building off of the superheroes and personal people in their lives, like their parents, their coaches, usually really opens the conversation up and allows them to be vulnerable and actually interested, because talking about Greek mythology is interesting to some students and war and those things, but some just simply don't care about Odysseus or his success, unfortunately, but they do care about their coaches and their parents and their friends and their success. And I find that this is usually a lesson they really connect to. It's a lesson every year that I almost never get through in, you know, the one block period as I have planned, because they contribute so much to it. So I've had a lot of success with it in the end, and I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this, and I thank you for your time.